Coming to you from the historic Hart Building in Marysville, California, in Studio 93, In the Tank with Fish, with your host, Bob Fischetti.
I am so glad. There's times when, I like having other people in, but I have my Kelly back. I'm so excited.
Every once in a while, I have to be gone for a week just so you miss me.
Is that like absence makes the heart grow fonder?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, are you telling me this is planned?
Yes. Every 2 months, I take a week off. Just so you know what life is like without me.
So, listen, I want to welcome everybody to In the Tank with Fish and Minnow. And we had an episode of In the Tank with Fish and Guppy. That was what we did last time.
Did you have a sub? Did you just have like a stuffed fish sit in this chair?
What was really funny is that she said, I used to raise guppies. I mean, she raised.
Stop it, Kurt. I feel like you throw those in just so he's squirrel moments.
So today is actually the day after St. Patrick's Day, and I'm really glad to have Kelly here sober.
I don't even drink. There was a time, though, in my life I would wake up at 6 to have green beer when I lived in Chico.
Oh, my gosh.
But those days are long gone. Now I wake up at 4 to bake bread and have tea.
Yeah, I like the bread better.
Yeah, so do I. I feel like better.
Much better deal.
Do you like beer bread?
I don't. I actually used to, but I don't
Beer
like
bread?
beer bread. I could.
Is there such a thing?
Yeah. Yeah. My mom asked me to make Guinness bread. I would. Not
Yeah, just don't make Bud Light bread. Nobody's eating that.
It just tastes like water.
It's like runny bread.
Yeah.
There you go. There you got it, So anyway, so we had Shemaya came in and subbed for you.
Nice.
And she actually told this story. She raised guppies when she was a kid. And I thought it was a really cool story. She said her mom got all these little containers because guppies breed fast.
Yeah.
And she said she lived back east and it got really cold and they lost their electricity. And they lost the guppies.
Oh, no.
And I was really sorry I brought up the guppy story.
Yeah. Oh, now I'm sad. Little guppy sickles everywhere.
Yeah, then I made some like fish sticks.
Okay, I'm glad I wasn't here. Kurt is just shaking his head at you.
So anyway, how you been, Kel?
Super good. I'm a little sad about guppies, but
yeah.
No, I've been good. The boys are great.
Yeah.
They're
You
so
got a new
fun.
puppy. How's he doing?
Puppy. She is amazing. She is a total tyrant, but also she's so good. She's probably 4.5 months now. She's doubled in weight, so she's about 15 pounds.
Wow.
And she's amazing, though. She's great in the car. She's been going on her first hikes and is doing good on leash. I feel bad because our senior dog turned 10, our golden retriever, and she used to be able to get away from her by getting up on the couch because the puppy didn't know she could jump, but that time is over. Now she can jump. Yeah, she realized she has springy, very long legs and can get up on anything.
Well, I was a little offended because you didn't name the dog Fish.
I know. No.
I mean, why not? Fishette, right?
Fishette, yeah.
Yeah, it's like.
Stop it. I saw it too, but notice how I can stay focused on you. You're just like.
So there was actually a song, I'm trying to think of when it was, late 60s, Walking My Cat Named Dog.
Oh, interesting.
So guy names his cat Dog. You could have named your dog Fish.
The dog Fish. My mom always said she wanted
there is a dog Fish.
There is a dog Fish, yeah. My mom said she always wanted to name a dog RUG for Rug. Because most our dogs just laid there right in your way.
Well, I'm a fish that's been called a dog.
I don't know that you want to share these stories.
No, that story, we're leaving that story out.
And coming next, we have a guest.
Why were you called a dog? Yeah. So been a good week?
It has been a good week.
So we've got some exciting guests coming. Got a great one today because it's the second time we've had a musician. Yeah.
I feel like you always say that when they're in the room.
I only say it because he gave me $20. I mean,
I
it's
was
like,
gonna say, or
without
there
the
was that
money, I just said,
time.
I can be bought. See how easy that is?
I know you
There
can.
goes the dog thing right there. So, but I've got Dan
Don't make me
Osborne.
remember.
What was it? Ostrander.
Oh, there you go.
Dan Ostrander's coming back at the 100 Days of Trump because we've had him talking about different presidents. Going to have him back. And then the gal we had last week was pardoned by President Trump for that January 6th stuff. And it was very interesting to hear the story by someone that was there and had no idea really what was going on. They found her later. Yeah, it was a huge deal. I mean, it was 1,500 people altogether. And it was like, she was like, hey, I was just going to a rally, right? She's a little farm girl, right?
Yeah.
She's like, I drive tractor, right? You know, it's like, yeah, really a nice gal. But boy, what an incredible story. And, you know, she did actually get inside because she was kind of with the crowd. They were just going in. But what was going on in front, most of the people back there had no idea. But anyway, it was really good to have a chance to talk to her about that. She's really grateful that she was pardoned, right? She was not one of the ones that actually went to jail. And I guess there was a number of them that they charged, but they didn't do jail time. But yeah, you missed that one.
I'm gonna have to watch that one.
Yeah, you should because I was great.
I'll take notes. I'll give you feedback.
I had Shemaya, man. She covered.
Yeah, I'm sure she carried. She's probably fine.
So listen, you ready for our guest?
I am.
First
I'm
guest.
excited to
We're
learn
doing
more
10
about him.
guests today. Did I not tell you?
No,
that?
you did not tell me.
There's
We
bread
better
coming.
5 minutes each, guess.
Yeah. I did tell the people, just so you know, I said,
boy.
hey, Kelly won't be here. She's home making Cheeto bread.
We bought more Cheetos the other night. I feel like I shouldn't even tell you.
Cheetos?
They're the natural ones, though.
What? There's a natural Cheeto?
They're like no dye. They're the white ones. They're delicious. Okay, I'll bring you some.
You're serious?
Yeah. They're still Cheeto brand. They're Cheeto Naturals, so they don't have dye in them.
Is there cheese in them?
Yes, they're delicious. Yeah, we had a movie night over the weekend, so I left
Yeah,
the
that
boys.
just looked like.
I know. Mind blown.
Is that really? We're getting the signal to move on. Listen, stay with us. You never know when you tune in. Like, subscribe, and share.
Man, nailed it.
Not bad.
Nailed it. Not bad for your 100th episode.
And every time you share this with somebody, they will put you on their Christmas card list. I mean, it just. They
Empty
might.
promises. They might.
They
yeah,
might.
We'll roll with
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back. 93Q Radio was an opportunity for what's called an LPFM to give the community a voice.
The big part of what's happening here is it's us. It's the community of us.
The work that Mr. Fischetti has done with us to promote public education has been absolutely groundbreaking.
They have the pulse of our community from the nonprofits to the local governments. If you want to find out what's happening in our community, get on board with 93Q.
And 93Q does so much to help our community, helps us promote our local events, as well as local businesses, and tell our story about what we do here in Yuba Sutter.
The folks that work here, they're part of our community, so they understand our needs, and that's important.
Local radio is so important during times of emergency. They're there. We lean on them to provide information to our public.
My wife and I are glad to support 93Q. We're going to do it on a monthly basis, but I really recommend that if you want to make your community better, this is a great place to take a first step right here.
So if you can, reach deep into your pocket and give to 93Q.
93Q is a great partner for law enforcement, and they're a great partner for the Yuba Sutter area.
We're really asking people if you can give $10, $15, $20 a month, and then that enables us to continue to put small business spots on the air, nonprofits, organizations that are they're using every dollar they got just to operate, and they don't have extra money to spend on really promoting their cause. And that is why community radio, to me, I'm grateful to be part of it, and that's why it's important.
Hi, and welcome back to In the Tank with Fish and Minnow. And we have guest George Croft on today. Welcome. I'm excited to
Thanks for
learn
having
more
me.
about you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for letting me come on. Yeah.
So, Mr. Croft, I just want to know, what's your craft?
Music. Yeah.
Just let him get this out of his system.
Yeah, it's that's not the worst one. There's
sure.
lower hanging fruit than that. Yeah.
If you ever went through grade school, no matter what your last name was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and believe me, Fischetti, they could do a lot with that.
Bet.
That was my whole like in high school. It was always like, oh, is Laura Croft your mom? It's like, haha. And they're like, is she coming to the game? It's like, no.
They all wished.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is there any way you could call her?
Hey, is your mom coming?
Sigh.
Got any pictures?
Yeah.
It's like the grade schoolers are a crack up. Come up with it's
Just
like
brutal.
and it's like, yeah. So I met George. He actually, I think you sent me a text or something.
Well, when I first met you was when I just came by with a CD, and then you happened to be here when so I met you for like 5 minutes, and I was like,
Yeah.
here's my CD, and then
so-
later I texted you. Yeah.
So we have musicians all the time. I get these agencies or whatever will send out a new release, and it's all different kinds of music, right? But he actually came in here and gave me a CD.
Yeah.
And so I took the CD back to Gary, and I thought, well, Gary, I want Gary to hear this, so we put it on the air, make a choice, whatever. And I didn't see the CD for a while. So I came back and I said, have you listened to that yet? And he goes, no, I haven't heard it. I said, put it on. So we had to listen to it back in to find out, right?
Yeah.
Clearly you liked it because he's here now, or are you giving him a terrible critique?
It worked. I don't know if it's been on the air yet, but it worked.
I don't either, because once it goes in there, it's like a black hole.
I was happy to get in the door. So no, I've gotten to the point where I'm just dropping CDs off at businesses that I'm trying to perform at, radio stations, and you guys were, on the list. And then, come to find out, you guys have this awesome spot here for like podcasts and everything else. So, just from knocking on the door. So did you grow up here? No, I grew up in we say the Bay Area. I grew up in what's called Morgan Hill, which is south of San Jose by a little bit. So it's the Bay Area, kind of quote unquote. But then I've lived all over. I've lived in a bunch of different states, and I joined the Coast Guard out of high school and then bounced around a bunch. And then we landed here like 4 years ago. 2021. Yeah. Coming up on 4 years.
You're a newbie here.
Yeah, relatively new.
How's that working for you?
That's weird.
I know.
Right?
Normally we get
we
lifers
find
here.
out that they're great grandparents.
It was
Native American.
Yeah, no, it was honestly pretty miraculous the way it just kind of like landed, because we had lived in Arizona. So after I got out of the Coast Guard, my wife decided to go to nursing school. So we moved to Arizona for a year because she got into this like crazy 1-year program at NAU. And after she graduated, we had just we knew we were coming back to California, but we weren't 100% sure where. And then basically I got a job here in Marysville that paid enough. It was, it wasn't but she hadn't landed a job at a hospital anywhere yet. She was applying to ride out, but she hadn't landed it yet. So it was kind of like we moved in with a friend. I was driving up here to go to work for the tree company. And then, weeks later, she lands the job at Ride Out. And then it all kind of fell together in phases. And then we ended up, buying a house in Browns Valley, which is great. I mean, turns out that it's like we just landed in this spot that it's, we have 2 little kids. So, and it's the whole road is all friends they go to school with. Everybody hangs out. Everybody plays baseball. Everybody's in 4-H. It's all, we kind of just landed in this cool community.
How old are your kids?
They're 11 and 8. Wow. Which I'm still getting used to saying instead of 10.
A boy and a girl?
Yeah.
I got an 11-year-old girl and an 8-year-old boy. Yeah.
I know every year they grow. I'm like, could you stop? Because now I have to remember how old you are.
Even now, like I'll look at my phone, like the picture on the back of my phone is like, suddenly it's from 4 years ago and they look totally different, but like your brain doesn't,
No. All of a sudden
your kid walk in and you're like, who are you?
Yeah.
My oldest boy's birthday was yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
He's an Italian born on
St. Patrick's Day.
Patrick's Day. Oh, St. Patrick's Day. By the way, did anybody notice that
I haven't seen the leprechaun go by since.
I've kind of turned
Just
this
watch
way.
it
So
fish.
Yeah, I was
He
just-
turns,
Well, his
then
head
there's
snaps
something
around.
happening. Yeah.
So anyway, he just turned 50.
Wow.
And it just blows my mind that I have a child 50 years old,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And but from what I understand, my wife says he will graduate middle school this year.
This is the year.
This
He's
is
gonna
the
make
year
it.
we're,
Finally gonna
we're
happen.
hoping. We've
Yeah.
got him a tutor. He's going to do good. He actually teaches high school, but
Oh, nice.
so he's going to watch this and go, really?
And that was the small world part of it was. So after I came in here, the one time I dropped off a CD, you told me about the open mic at the Pizza Hut.
Yes.
And which I had not done before. And I thought, oh, okay, it'll be fun just to I had a gig coming up later that week or the next weekend. And I thought, okay, I'll just go get some practice reps and it'll be great. And then your daughter-in-law was there.
Daughter-in-law saw you.
And then she's the principal of my kid's school, which I didn't know, and I'm in there having a beer, playing music, and it's like, there's my kid's principal, right? Cool. Hey.
Am I in trouble?
So
I could just see it the next day. Your kid's like, Dad.
Yeah. Miss Fischetti said she saw you. Yeah. Oh no.
You're exasperating.
Yeah.
How'd you learn that word?
Yeah. So, but no, it was super. Just small world, you know.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, it was
turned out
really
good.
easy to connect with you. You know, you're personable, right?
thanks.
But you're very focused on what you want to do, and you put a lot of work into it.
Thanks.
To do it, and so it's one thing to hear a musician's music and try to decipher.
Gotcha.
I was trying not to look and trying to decipher who they are by their music, right? Because they write it in there.
Yeah.
But it's another thing to actually meet them and then hear who they are, not through the interpretation of their song.
Yeah,
but who they are.
It's a
and what
double-edged
they're
sword.
after. Yeah.
It's because on the one hand, one of my favorite things about songwriting is that I write a song and I know what it means to me, and I know what I wrote it about or what the inspiration was. And then somebody will hear that and get a completely different message out of it. That they're like, "Oh, is that the song about what?" And it's like, I didn't write any songs about that. And it's like, oh, they thought but that's what it means to them. I'm not going to correct them.
Yeah.
Like that's if they love the song because that's what they think it means, that's what it means to them. So you don't necessarily put music out so that people know you really well. It's like the music's kind of its own thing. And then I got to go out and trick people into talking to me and, letting me on their podcasts, I guess, to actually have personal interactions.
Well, I got to give you the 20 bucks back.
Yeah. Wait a second.
Kelly wants
I got to come in.
Cost you
I got to come in and
$40.
pay everybody off to have me on their
back there,
podcast.
too.
Yeah, Kurt wants 20. You're in
Yeah.
$60.
Yeah, you said I was personable. I was like, I'm in. I got it.
That'll cost
Well,
you an
yeah,
extra
yeah,
$5.
That was an extra compliment. I didn't pay for that one.
Have you ever been playing and people will come up? Because I play other people's music at open mics, and people come up and go, "Did you write that?"
Yeah.
And you go,
I'm like, that was Merle Haggard. Yeah.
But what's really bad is when you go, "Yeah," because you're like excited, right? Yeah, and they go, "Oh." And it's like, what?
Is that one yours? You're like, yeah. And they're like, oh boy.
Yeah. You might want to work on that, right?
Yeah,
You're like,
exactly. Yeah.
What are you, a critic?
Yeah.
Or you wouldn't buy it?
Yeah. Or the next worst is when they come out and it's a cover. They're like, they'll walk up to me like, I love the way Merle Haggard sings that song.
Roundabout path.
Let him do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was
man.
I was younger. I played in a rock band, but we were in this bar, and there was a song by I'm trying to think of the name of the group. But anyway, I'll think of it in a minute. I think it was Emerson, Lake and Palmer. But anyway, I'm doing this. It's called Lucky Man. So I'm doing the song, and I got through the first verse, and I forgot the second verse.
Oh, that's the worst.
And so I'm playing along, and I just started, believe it or not, I had to make up lyrics. So I was thinking about this bottle of beer on this table, right? Because I thought I'll get to it. Then I remembered and went to the next verse. Whatever. I got done. This little gal comes up to me and she goes, "You ruined my favorite song.
Oh, no.
There's no beer.
I'll
in
never
that
forget.
song.
I will never forget one time I had a very similar experience. I was in Virginia for school, and it was kind of a weird time because like when I was in the Coast Guard, I got sent to school in Virginia, but I couldn't bring my family with me. So I had to be gone for 3 months. And my daughter was only like 3 months old at the time. So this is like, suddenly I'm just living by myself. I'm in a dorm room with a couple other guys, and I'm not old enough to drink at this point. I was only 20. And so I couldn't really do anything. So I just stayed in my room and played guitar. And a guy showed up, like knocked on the door, and he's like, "Hey, I got a noise complaint." I was like, "Really? Like I've been playing for 5 minutes. Like what, you know?" And then he was like, "No, I'm just kidding. I run an open mic at the pub down the street. You should come down." And that turned into the whole 3 months I was there every Tuesday playing this open mic thing, it turned out just great. I'll always remember that. But I started trying to throw other songs into the mix that I like grew up, because suddenly I got to play all the time. I don't want to play the same songs for these people. And so I threw in a Robert Earl Keen song that I still play to this day. It's Feeling Good Again. But I hadn't played it in front of people before. I learned it that week. Even I'd heard the song, but I'd never played it before. And I get on stage, I play the intro, and a guy that was kind of a friend of the guy that brought me. So like these kind of two older guys that I was kind of palling around with. His head whips around at the bar. He's like, "Oh, I love that song." And then my mind just erased all the lyrics from it. And then I was like, now I'm under all this and I fouled the whole thing.
Well, at that point, you go, "Well, come on up and sing it. I'll play it for you.
Karaoke.
Come on." Yeah, little live karaoke, man.
But it's just whenever your brain glitches like that,
I know.
It's gone. There's nothing you can do. You got to try to come at it through a different gate, I guess. I don't know. But that happened to me yesterday recording a podcast. I forgot Keith Richards' name 4 times for no reason. I said it 87 times earlier in the podcast.
Mick Jagger forgets his name all the time.
Yeah, and I kept going, "The Rolling Stones." That's all I could say.
I saw a great, what do they call memes?
Yeah.
And so it was a picture that was painted of Leonardo da Vinci and somebody else. And it said it was. They went back and said Keith Richards, painted this.
Yeah, I'm going to tell my kids Keith Richards painted this. Yeah,
it's like everything is about how old he is. When the Lord said, "Let there be light," Keith flipped the switch.
Yeah,
it was that's how it was.
He's so funny because even now he's 90 something or whatever he is. He's in his late 80s, got to be. And you'll still see him in interviews and stuff. He's getting off a tour bus and he's, still plays guitar great. And he's kind of shuttling off to whatever. And a group of girls walk by and he's like, "Hello, love." And he kind of just rotates around. It's like, you're 80 something, man. Go play your music.
Well, I thought it was a crack up. I saw the Pirates of the Caribbean. It was Johnny Depp.
Oh, yeah.
And so they asked him who he modeled his character after, and he said Keith Richards. So then they brought Keith Richards in the next movie as his dad.
Is he really?
Yeah.
How did I miss that?
He's in the movie. It's very brief, but he's in there as Johnny Depp's dad, right? Because he's
oh, that's great.
Yeah. But you can, after he said that,
my brain is now was that Keith Richards? After I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Yeah, I'm trying to connect dots in my head over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Picture
I just think, because I grew up when the competition was the Stones and Beatles.
Yeah.
Who do you like? But there was so many great bands. It was really hard to just pick one. They were all really good.
Yeah.
But you're in a different era now in music, and it's a bit of a struggle to try to figure out the next step. And yet at the same time, you were telling me you really do kind of have a plan of how to kind of go forward in music with what you do. Now, you mostly do your own stuff now. You go and play?
You mean musically? Yeah. So my show right now, when I do a 2-hour or 2.5-hour show, it's half covers, half originals.
Oh,
okay. My mix I'm always trying to write stuff and add, but it's the dream is to eventually you got a 3-hour show of all your stuff, but you gotta, at this point, and still too, it's nice to play covers that people like and you kind of draw the crowd back in and kind of, that's pretty.
Well, I'm from the 60s. I can play one song for 3 hours.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Just get a good lead guitar player and it's
instrumentals.
We're in.
That's why I have a couple of those songs in my set just in case I end up with people around and I'm come on, jump on in. So if we play The Wait by the band, or I'll do The Road Goes On Forever by Robert Earl Keen, you can just play, you can make that a 30-minute song if you wanted to, because you can just repeat verses, nobody cares.
Well, especially if people are singing. You can do Hey Jude and they'll sit out there and go, la, 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 la 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 la.
Yeah, yeah. If people are having a good time, I played a retirement home a few weeks ago, and like there was this guy in the back that just the whole time he didn't say anything, and he kind of just had a smirk on his face, and he was in a wheelchair, and he kind of just gunning me down the whole time. And at the end, he was like, "Do you know Sweet Caroline?" And I was like, no, but I think I could look it up. I was like, it might not be that hard to learn. And so it became this thing where like I had my phone like propped on my guitar because I didn't have anything to clip it to. And I'm like learning how to play Sweet Caroline. And then this whole, group of, people in this retirement home were like, it turned out really fun. Like they were all singing, and then that guy opened up and he was like smiling and rocking back and forth and going,
Yeah, that's such a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as you can pull it together for him.
Yeah.
It worked.
So, if you had to put your songs on an album, right? You had to pick 10. How many songs do you have?
That I'm like comfortable with to crank out and say this is an album. I mean, I've written almost another album since I let the other one go. So I think I'm up to like 17 now that I'm like comfortable with cranking out to the public. I write songs all the time, or I'll write half a song and trash it, or I'll have a riff idea. But songs I've like all the way finished through that I'm happy with, there's like 17 of them. But one of them, I kind of shot myself in the foot because I also do this thing where I procrastinate. If I don't have a deadline for stuff, I'm the worst sometimes.
I'll get back to it.
Yeah, exactly. And then next thing you know, I had this Christmas show to play, and I knew I had this show, like it was a charity dinner thing, and like I knew for months that that's what I was going to do, but I don't have any Christmas material, and I'm not like everybody else is doing Christmas carols at some point. We're all singing the same Christmas carol. So, and there's, a lineup of like 10 different bands going. And I thought it'd be cool to write a Christmas song, like some kind of new deal. And but I thought, I don't know if I'll do that. The day before the show, I'm like, I got an idea for a Christmas song, and I like just set myself down and forced myself to write this pretty funny, like it turned out I really am proud of that song, and it's funny. Like all my cousins loved it because I wrote it about like a family gathering that's just like a bunch of funny. Some of it's like relatable, like every family's got those guys, and some of it is very specific to our family. So my cousins are all just texting me like, "Man, this is great." but I'm
glad you talked about the other cousin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And but I wrote it, like I ended up finishing it literally like an hour before I took the stage to play it, and I'm out there in the back of this event like practicing just that song. And it's not a simple. It was. I kind of shot myself in the foot because it's the only song I practiced, and then I made mistakes in other songs that I play all the time that I don't normally make mistakes. But it's just because I was cranking this one song out. But I can't include that song in an album because it's Christmas specific. So
Well, every artist when they start running out of stuff does a Christmas album.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It's like it's just the easy thing.
Mariah Carey,
Michael Bublé.
It's like okay,
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as the Mariah Carey is like, she's the ghost of Christmas presents. You just like hear that voice come in. You're like, is it December already?
Yeah.
As soon as Thanksgiving's over, you hear those jingle bells and hear that.
Well, it's funny how
coming through.
We don't think about it because we think traditional Christmas songs, but these artists will get a song and then it really becomes a traditional Christmas song. Yeah. Like everybody's got the song that Wham had last Christmas, right? That became very popular, but it's actually a breakup song. Yeah. Right? It's like, it's like, okay. And everybody loves it. Oh,
yeah. You still write the rock and roll, like Lost the Girl, something bad happened. You just throw the word Christmas in the song somewhere and they'll put it on the radio. Yeah.
Yeah. That's in Love Actually.
Yeah.
Where Billy Mack does. Yeah, that's actually a funny movie because they're totally making fun of that. I saw that too. So where do you see yourself going with the music? Because you're really
as far as
invested in it.
Yeah.
What do you want to do next? I mean, you told me that you're playing places. It's not like you're not playing places.
Yeah. So at this stage of the game, I'm like. I want to go as far as music will let me go. If that's famous, great. If that's just paying the bills with music, great. I don't necessarily care, but that's the path that I'm on, and I'll just keep pushing and pushing and pushing as far as I can get it. That being said, it's like I have to be smart about how I go about things. I don't have like a big team of people behind me helping me like make decisions on the day-to-day front. I just got in touch with a booking agent in Folsom, which has been a game changer. So she's out there drumming up gigs and stuff, which is great. But other than that, it's like down to the social media stuff and how to promote your own music and stuff like that. I'm having to forge my own path, sort of. But the reality of the world we live in now is that if you don't have a social media following, you're in for a rough go.
Yeah,
because
we found that out after this last election.
Yeah, I mean, even getting people to answer the phone for me to come play the first thing people do is they check my Instagram, and if it's only got 500 followers or something, they're like, nah, we'll pass. They don't listen to your music at all. They just see that you haven't drawn a crowd online yet. We're not going to pay you to show up. Which, in their defense, if you're a business that's got a small margin and you got to pay someone to show up and you got a choice between the guy who's drawn an online presence or one that hasn't, you still have to spend the same amount of money. Who you going to pick? So I understand how the market has worked that out, and I don't get as jaded about like, oh, they just want followers. It's a legit number that you should build and have. I haven't been able to build it that high yet. So I'm in the struggle part of that struggle, which
what's your Instagram
fine.
handle? Drop it here.
Yeah, it's George Croft Music on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and everything. Yeah. But so hopefully, that starts to go places. But Croft.
Yeah, Croft. I got it.
Yeah, George Croft Music
on my hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Just right. At George Croft
Secrets
Music.
revealed here.
But yeah, so that's the kind of day-to-day struggle now is like I'm still playing all my gigs. I practice all the time. I'm working that angle, but also I'm trying to build social media stuff. And since meeting you guys has been great. So now I've got the podcast going, which is great for the social media front. And I'll just keep doing whatever I can. And just kind of
Kurt
hard charging.
Shoots his podcast upstairs.
Nice.
Yeah, we put in a second podcast room, and then Kurt and him hooked up, and it enabled him to kind of design that the way he wanted. And
it's turned out.
So how do people find that?
The podcast is on my YouTube channel, George Croft Music, and then it's going to be on Spotify and stuff here in the next few days. Yeah, we'll have a few episodes of that on Spotify. Or Spotify and Apple and wherever else, all podcast platforms. It'll be on there in a few days. But yeah, we just filmed our third episode, which was pretty cool. It ended up so the first two episodes we did ended up being like 30 minutes each, and I'm kind of going over this like music history thing, and then the one we did yesterday was like an hour and 15 or something, which is
so. Do you have a screen behind you?
Not in the new studio. I did when we did it in here. I had this screen, but not upstairs.
My concern is you're using the same guy we are.
Yeah,
and
he's not bombing me with
You know what I mean?
Just here for distraction.
You'd be trying to, George Croft. He'd have some.
No, man. Yeah, no. Luckily, I'm straightforward on the laptop.
Yeah. You can only allow him so much.
No, it's been great. I mean, I can't tell you how happy I am with how that has turned out. That was kind of.
I have a question for you before Fish asks you another one. How are you balancing parenthood and music? Because if you're trying to grow, there's got to be some balancing act.
Yeah, there's a lot of balancing there.
Tell the kids go in the other room.
Yeah, exactly.
Difficult.
Yeah, there's old videos on my Instagram of when we lived in Arizona, and I'm trying to write songs, and my kids are running in Dad. All right, buddy. But now, I mean, my kids are at an age now where they're kind of self-contained. Obviously, when they're around me and stuff, you're engaged and you're hanging out with them and stuff, but they're also at an age where they want to be outside on the swing, or they want to go, run Sadie's on her horse or whatever, they have things to do. So they don't require 100% of my attention when they were 3 or 4, so that's a little bit different. So after I got out of the Coast Guard, my wife got a job because she's, way more educated than me. So she's always been more hireable. So we've gone through a few phases where I was staying home with the kids. So I'd work jobs here and there, but if she got a better job than me and we can't afford childcare in combination, I'm the guy that's watching the kids. So I've done that in spurts. And the first time we did it was when my son was a year old. I quit the job that I had and she went to work for the county, which was really, cool. And then when he's 1 and she's 4, I wrote some songs, but you're full speed in dad mode all the time. You got to like, your brain's worrying about why is it so quiet in here? Like, where's the silverware at? And like, just make sure they're not putting pennies in light socket. Like, you're always on.
Well, you can tell the ones you wrote during that time because there's crayons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You find them and there's like, or the color of the pen will change because I had to get up and leave and then come back to the song the next day and I had a different pen. And
your kids are writing lyrics.
Yeah. So when it was that way, there's no balance. Like I could not have pursued music at that time just because they're so little and you're fully hands on. And now it's like, they're, with friends and they've got, school stuff. They're at school, half the day. And then when I have them at home, they're running around doing their own stuff. So it's been much easier. But as far as like balancing, like making sure you're there for stuff, it is a little bit challenging, especially the more gigs I get, the more I'm having to, kind of pick and choose. Right now I haven't had to come up against that super hard. Like I coach my son's baseball team and, like I go to 4-H meetings all the time with my daughter. So like, I'm really I try to stay really involved in their extracurricular stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I am kind of nervous about the trade-off that's coming. If this thing takes off and it's great and gone all the time, like, all right, well, hopefully that doesn't have to be for too long like that. But yeah, I don't know.
So I could see why you'd ask that because your business is in your home. Yeah. Right. And so you're able to be around your boys most every day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And that being said, I mean, music and entertainment in general doesn't really overlap too hard with your kids' lives. So like it'll overlap the weekend. Right. They're at night if they're during the week or on the weekend. So with the stuff you miss is the weekend stuff. During the week, I'm with them all the time and they're, we're fully engaged, which is nice. But yeah.
Wait until they're teenagers and they don't want anything to do with you, so it's fine.
Common. Yeah.
You'll have so much time on your hands.
Yeah, that's already.
I had to text mine the other day. Are you ever coming out of your room?
You? Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I could use some help out here. Okay.
We called it the dark days because your kids want to be isolated. Yeah. So when that would happen, I couldn't send Pablo to his room. It's what he wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Get outside.
Your punishment is hang out with me.
Exactly. So you're coming out with the family.
There's
How
so
was
many,
your day?
There's so many funny things that like I see now as an adult that like didn't make any sense to me as a kid that I watched either my grandparents or my parents do. That I'm like, oh, I get it. Like I get it now. When you're a teenager and you remember your mom locking you out of the house, you're like, why didn't she just kick us outside and lock the door? And I'm like, I might kick you outside and lock the door.
Yeah, so you go play.
Go outside. Like it's a nice day outside. Go out there. And it's like if they're coming back in every 3 seconds, I had the urge the other day. I was like, I'm going to lock that door. You stay outside. There's nothing out there that's going to hurt you. Yeah, exactly. Like you don't come in here and ask me for snacks. Like you just go outside.
You forage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or there's edible plants out there. Figure it out. But
here's a survival book. Yeah. Okay, you're good.
Double check the plants for the book.
One of my favorite things I think about all the time now is like growing up, my grandpa, who's 93 now, every year on his birthday, it was like we all just knew Papa wants, however old he is, he wants that many seconds of silence. So everybody would get around the table like right before we cut the birthday cake, and he would just sit, close his eyes, and fold his hands in his lap. And he's not like a high speed guy. Like it was just, why does Papa like that? And now I've got, as an adult, I'm like, you know what I would give for 31 seconds of just dead silence right now. Dad. Suddenly I'm like, oh, that makes all the sense. Yeah. But no, I mean, I've been really lucky that I've, been able to be as involved with my kids as I have up to now. I mean, I've, like I said, I've gone through stretches where, I'm stay-at-home dad. So that's,
my kids were being homeschooled. So it really wasn't homeschooled. It was a private school. But the way their studies worked, like I traveled, they would give them a packet that they had to complete, and then I could take them with me.
Yeah,
and so that's the really
best. Yeah,
good.
I was homeschooled through 5th grade, so I went to kindergarten, and then I was homeschooled like 1st through 5th. And there's some trade-offs, like social interactions and stuff. You kind of lose some there, but we were going on road trips. We were like It's like, oh, this week we're supposed to learn about the missions. Mom just loads you up in the van and we drive to all the missions in California for a weekend or whatever. And that was just how we did it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I had my oldest boy with me. We were heading for Colorado, And I had this big old Cutlass Supreme Brougham, just this nice. I mean, it's like on your couch, right? When it's good. So we're going across Highway 50. You know, there's nothing out there. I mean, it's just right. And I'd gone to sleep, and all of a sudden I wake up and I could hear the wind blowing, and I'm going, we're going fast. So I wake up and I look, and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Dad, there's nobody out here." And he's got that old, it's ripping down this road, you know.
Shaking.
You know, he's 15, right? Yeah. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Anything happens, you know.
I'm going to have to answer to your mom.
Yeah.
You know, and then plus when I'm 15, you know, you're not like getting along with them really well at times, you know, right? And so we were, again, on that same trip, we were getting ready to go through the, I think it's called the Eisenhower Tunnel that goes up through the Rockies.
Yeah.
Right? And they had told us, hey, they're about to close that. If you're going to try to get through, you need to go. So we're out there, and we got in some kind of argument, and I, you know, I let him drive. So I'm walking around behind the car. He tells me later, I just wanted to run over your old butt. And it's like, all right. Yeah. The love is just amazing, right? It's like, yeah, well.
Yeah, I always tell people, like, having kids is like, it just expands your bandwidth for things. So, like, you thought you were a 1 to 10, happiness to anger, like happiness, anger, whatever. Like, you're tired. You thought you could be a 10 happy or a 10 tired or a 10. You have kids and you realize that your spectrum stretches to 20. Yeah. And it's like you've never been as like loved and happy and great. You've also never been that pissed off sometimes. Like it depends on the day.
They are good button pushers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they study you.
Oh, totally.
Right?
You don't think they're watching. They are watching everything.
Yeah.
My boys were always, especially the oldest one, he would always be, well, but Dad, you said. No, I didn't. So you don't remember anything.
Ooh, that's tough. Especially when you're like, did I say that?
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Did we have this conversation? Yeah. And then you realize you're just being, you know, toyed with.
Yep.
Like, wait a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. He still does it.
Yeah.
Right? He's still getting you even at 50.
Yeah. Man.
He's like, well, you said.
Yeah, it never ends.
So so you're doing a podcast.
Yep.
And you just got someone that's actually booking you.
Yep. Yeah.
So you're getting farther down the road.
Yeah. Momentum is starting to build. Yeah. It's definitely been a grind up to now, and it's going to continue to be a grind for a while. I mean, I basically decided in November of last. So like the long story is that. So after Arizona, when we moved here and I got that job, I had been in the house band at a bar in Arizona that I just loved. It's called the Museum Club, which is like this famous bar on the outskirts. What used to be the outskirts of Flagstaff, and town has kind of grown past it now. But it used to be this like random bar on Route 66 where all the big music acts would come through. So there's guitars on the wall signed by like Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson, and like every, you know, like Lady Gaga performed there for no reason. And it was, I mean, it's the size of this floor of the building. It's a small, you know, thing. They got like a dance floor area. But anyway, so I end up, you know, auditioning for the house band there, and I only got to play one paid gig with them, because we ended up moving back here. But that whole 4 months that we were like practicing and doing stuff was like, I knew like music has always been my thing, and I always wanted to find a way to do it. But that was the first time I was really getting paid to do it. And I was like, all right, I'm doing that. Like I have to find a way to get back to that. But then I was like, okay, I'm educated for, you know, I've like my degree is in like natural resources and forestry. So, which I also love, but it's not music. And, but when we moved here, that's the job I landed, was a job working for a PG&E contractor looking at trees all day, which is a great job. It was a lot of fun. Like I actually really liked working there. And, but when I landed the job, I was like, all right, I'll do this for a while. But once Jen lands a job at the hospital and stuff, like I got to find a way to get out of this the kind of minimum wage job and go back to the music. Well, after I got the job and we'd been here for like a month or two, that company unionized and they tripled our pay. And it was like, oh, Like, so before I was like, I can't do it because I can't do music because we don't make enough money. And someday when I have a little more money, I'll do music. Then suddenly it was like, well, I can't do music. We make too much money. And so I hated that I knew that's what happened. And then, so I did that for 2.5 years. And then that company lost their contract. So of no fault of my own, everybody gets laid off. And I'd been talking about trying to switch to music even 6 months before that. Even at that level of money, I was like, this isn't working. I'm not doing the music thing, and I should be. And so I started doing open mics, and I started trying to, pick stuff up. Even before, bam, company loses the contract, nobody saw it coming. They'd had that contract for 20 years or something. Wow. And so when everybody got laid off, I kind of had this choice to make where it was like, I could go get a job at PG&E if I, not to make it sound too like as a given, but like I still have good relationships with people at PG&E and like my old managers and stuff. And
well, you can make that work. Glenn Campbell did. He was a lineman for the county.
Right. Yeah. But no, I mean,
he wrote a song while he was up there. I'm sure that's how that happened.
No, I don't think Glenn Campbell actually was. Glenn Campbell saw a guy hanging off a telephone pole, I think was or it might not even, anyway. But anyway, yeah.
That'll be in your next episode.
Actually, I think the next episode I'm going to do Glenn Campbell and the Wrecking Crew. Yeah, that's my next episode.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that he was a studio musician. He played with the Beach Boys. Everybody.
It's a good story.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
sorry.
No. I do the same thing.
Sidebar.
Yeah.
But you don't have to worry about that job with the trees anyway, because the way California's going, there ain't going to be any trees left.
Well, that's what the job's for.
They're lighting them up everywhere, right?
No, but I mean, it really. I had to make a decision. All my friends that were in that office, they all got hired when the new contractor came in, or they went to PG&E. Like, so nobody's like destitute out of that deal. But it was a jump or don't jump moment. And it was like, okay, I'm either going to dedicate another couple of years to this, doing my job well for PG&E or something, or like every year that goes by is a year that I missed on the music. And to make the music thing work, it's going to take a year or two or more of just grinding. And I had known from that last 6 months that I couldn't do both. Like by the time I come home working an 8-hour day, kids are there. I'm trying to write songs at night now. And it's like, okay, like you're exhausted. Nothing's going well. And so I was like, all right, when that job evaporated, I was like, I'm not applying for another one. Like we're jumping into music and I'm going to try to make it work. I don't care what I have to do to make it work, but that's the grind. So in the last year and a half is what I wrote, like more than half of the songs that are on my albums now got written in this last, year. And just, because when that happened, I didn't have a show to go play. I just had, some songs that I knew how to play, like my kind of the well of the songs that I've known since I was a kid, but I didn't have like a show put together so it took me a year of like writing new stuff, practicing all the time, picking new songs and like putting an actual show together. So I had a product to go sell as like, hire me to come play your, thing. That's new in the last 4 months or something, wow. to get to that point where you can actually go have enough material to put on a show. But then I also like, before I had enough to go put on shows like that, I had put out this acoustic album that, was just another miracle that came out of nowhere because I had a lot of really good help with that from my uncle started a business in the Bay Area called Sound Union. And that kind of just showed up right when I needed it to with like, so they let me use their studios and, some members there are just great audio engineers and stuff. So that's how the album came about before I was even really playing paid gigs. So little things like that have started to roll and started to kind of hit where they need to. And so I'm just now starting to feel like, it might actually work. Because up to now, over the last year,
job.
Yeah, over the last year, it's like, it's like you're just re-entering the atmosphere and like the shields are holding, but boy, everything's shaking. So that, and we're still in that. We're still stories where we're still in that, but it's holding.
In terms of people who quote unquote made it, right? Because there's a lot of people, they make a great living at it, but they're not particularly well known, or they have. It cracks me up. I'm a huge Allman Brothers fan.
Oh yeah,
and they only had one hit, but they had a following.
Yeah,
and so some bands, it seems like it's not about the top 10. They just it's like, they call them cult bands because
Yeah.
a group will like their music and follow them and, continue to
Once
do
you
that.
find your audience,
Yeah. And I remember the story of the band Boston, and they had just, as a matter of fact, one of their songs talks about that, but they had built such a local following, but they took their stuff to one of the record companies, and they said, no, it's not that great. You got to go do this, got to go do that. So it's really, if you can make a living at it, it's not like you have to be there. Then you hear about other people, they say, man, I was just cruising along, met the right person, right time. Next thing I know, I'm playing stadiums, and it's like, and there's so many people out there that are so incredibly talented that we'll never hear.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of, it's an exciting time to be getting into music because there's so many options as far, well, on the one hand, the traditional mechanism of like making it big in the music business, it's pretty closed off, especially in like the country scene.
Well, unless you're Beyonce.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Unless you've got money to throw around.
Bought that, right? It's like, what?
Because it really...
saying, like, I have an opinion.
Well, I mean, some of that is... Okay, the Beyonce thing, I could go on and on. But like, the reality of it is that it is a money game. And, like, if you have... Like, the reason you need a record label is because you need money for advertising. Like, you need to get your song to people, and that costs money. You hope that they return that by buying your stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be as a business to like have guarantees about how this is going to go, you need a bunch of money up front. And that's what record labels do for you. So if you're not going to do that and you got to go slow and go it on your own, kind of like what I'm trying to do, you just have to understand that the success doesn't come that fast. And it's not useful to get, or at least for me, like I can't spend too much time being like, oh, well, they just got a record deal, blah, blah. They brought a product that record label was looking for and they bought it. I'm not capable of providing that product, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to make my stuff and write my songs and hopefully find an audience that's mine, that, that people like my stuff for what it is, not because a record label shoved it in front of enough people. That's kind of...
Well, I think you talk about having to have a gimmick, right? Mm-hmm. So you make a shirt with Laura Croft on it.
Right,
and you say, my mom likes my music.
Yeah, my mom likes my music,
Buy my album, right? My mom likes my music. I mean, why not, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm at this point, maybe we'll start cranking out shirts.
Not above it.
Yeah.
So if somebody, you have an acoustic CD that you gave us. So if somebody wanted that, George, is there a way for them to get that?
Buying physical CDs from me right now. So eventually, yes. Right now, buying physical CDs from me, you got to come to a show. And
I meant, can they get it? Like, is it on?
Oh yeah, my music's streaming everywhere. It's on Amazon, Apple,
so
Spotify,
they can pick it up. Got it.
My stuff is everywhere. It's my album's called Better to Be Tough. Mm-hmm. So if you look up George Croft, Better to Be Tough, it's on there. But it's on YouTube. It's everywhere. If you're looking for that.
Do you have any local stuff coming up?
Yeah, so Friday I'm playing in Folsom. I don't have anything in like Marysville, Yuba City coming up. I just played the R-Wagon in Browns Valley a couple weeks ago. But I'm playing Red Bus Brewing in Folsom on Friday. And then there's another one. There's one in Lincoln I'm doing in April, I think. And then I'm doing... Some of that stuff starts to stretch. I'm doing the Colusa County Fair. I'm playing a music festival in Reno in June or something. And but yeah, so things are starting to... Come on.
And we're going to have him out on the street right in front of the Hart Building. I mean,
I'm surprised you didn't bring your guitar today.
I thought about it,
Well, here's the reason I didn't ask him.
Because then you would want to bring yours, and then I would just take a nap.
But because if you have somebody play the song, that takes up a lot of time, and we don't get to find out, right?
Yeah.
And plus, now it's intriguing.
Yeah, you got to go find it. Yeah,
there's a little mystery here.
Yeah, I'm going to go listen to Laura Croft's Little Boy song.
Yeah.
Gosh, stop it.
I'm going to get some emails.
Daddy never should have told me that. I was happy with Kraft. He should have left it alone.
Should have left it, yeah. No, I mean, but I'll take whatever,
Yeah, it's like...
There's no such thing as bad publicity, That's
That'll be the next thing for next month. Kurt will put his picture going up the screen or something.
Just me.
Because that'd be really crafty.
Yeah.
Oh, help
But
me.
I'm bummed.
Me in the Tomb Raider outfit. Come on.
That better be your next album.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Come on. Do an album called Tomb Raider.
You'd sell.
Yeah. No, but
This is just
yeah.
getting worse as we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, the next project is just I'm cranking out a single is going to be the next big thing, and that we're going to do not acoustic. That's a full band production.
Because you were bold enough
I get a mug
to come on.
Oh, man.
You have to have gone in the tank to get a mug.
Thank you.
So you get a mug.
Man, thanks so much.
And it's like, yeah.
I don't have to pack my Yeti around. Kurt told you I ended up not posting it, but I might still. I don't know. I might try to make it again, make it a little bit funnier. But we did on the podcast. I did a reverse ad where I just had this funny idea. I was like, what if? Because I don't have any advertisers. So the couple advertisers that I put on there are like my friends' businesses. That I was just like, I just need practice reading ads. So I put a couple on there and I thought, how funny would it be to read like a reverse ad for a big company? And so I did one for Yeti where I was like, do you want to burn your mouth on your coffee 45 minutes from now? Yeti. And just like everything bad about it. It was, I got to get better at it, but the lines I was pretty happy with. Yeah. Just super snarky, yeah. Do you want to almost?
All right, well,
good.
We're going to go. So one more time, George, how do they get your music? It's anywhere.
My music's everywhere. Yeah. So
and
it's
then your
George
podcast,
Croft. Yeah. The podcast is George Croft's American Music Show. It's on my YouTube channel, just George Croft Music.
George Croft Music.
Yeah. My website is georgecroftmusic.com. I've got a buy me a coffee link on my Instagram, which is like if people want to support. It's like an online tip jar kind of thing.
Oh.
That's on the Instagram account, George Croft Music. And then, my music's everywhere you can find it. Yeah.
So the podcast though, you're not. I just want to make this clear because you're doing music history and other stuff. It's not just you playing songs.
No. The podcast. So the podcast I pick originally, because the idea was I wanted to post every day to try to build my social media presence, and I was doing a song a day. So I made a list of 100 songs, and I was just doing a quick history thing about each one. And I kept finding man, there's so much to tell in the story that I got to pack into a 1-minute reel. And so now that we got the podcast going, I'm doing like deep dives into either songs or like this last episode I did on Graham Parsons. So like instead of the first episode I did about the song Crazy by, Patsy Cline, I just told the whole story of like Willie Nelson and her up to that song. The second one I did was about Hank Williams and kind of like the song is Your Cheating Heart, but it came out after his death. So I kind of explain his whole life like up to then. And then this last one I did was Graham Parsons, who is a kind of lesser known kind of American rock scene guy who's part of the Byrds and the Flying Burrito Brothers. But his whole life is just nuts. And I found him through doing my little 1-minute videos. And I just became a fan and just kind of obsessed with that story. So this last episode was just a deep dive into the life of Graham Parsons, which, if you don't know that story, it's a good one because after he dies, his friends try to cremate him and do a bad job. Yeah. So go check that out.
Viking funeral gone wrong.
It's so bad. Yeah. It's such a wild
Sounds like another
story.
Weekend with Bernie. Only it's Weekend with Burnty.
Yeah, Burnty. Yeah. Oh man, and it's so like just crazy. But yeah, so that's the stories that we're cranking. And then, like I said, I think the next one we're gonna do is gonna have something to do with Glenn Campbell. I haven't quite ironed that out yet. So I'll probably wait till Sunday evening and then start doing research. Yeah. I'll do it all Sunday evening and then come in just strung out on coffee and trying to make it happen. But
all right, we got to go, or otherwise I'm going to get the symbol from Kurt that you were done 5 minutes ago. You ran over, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. But and again, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate letting me come on.
No, man, this has been good. I'm glad that you showed up here with a CD.
Yeah, that was
had a chance to meet you.
That turned out great.
So go to lauracroft.com. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I'm going to have to buy that website.
George Croft. GeorgeCroftmusic.com. Check out George's stuff. I think you're going to like it. And then he is currently doing a podcast. So, like these stories, I know a bunch of you are like, I need to go watch Graham Parsons. I want to know what they did.
Yeah,
and so there's the teaser for you. We're going to be right back. Thanks for for listening. Like, subscribe, share, and just send Kelly and I money. We really both, we don't have any money. And
so terrible.
I'm eating bread that she leaves on my doorstep, but don't worry about me. I'll be fine.
Oh my gosh.
We won't be right.
Senior donations.
93Q Radio was an opportunity for what's called an LPFM to give the community a voice.
The big part of what's happening here is it's us. It's the community of us.
The work that Mr. Fischetti has done with us to promote public education has been absolutely groundbreaking.
They have the pulse of our community from the nonprofits to the local governments. If you want to find out what's happening in our community, get on board with 93Q.
And 93Q does so much to help our community, helps us promote our local events, as well as local businesses, and tell our story about what we do here in Yuba Sutter.
The folks that work here, they're part of our community, so they understand our needs, and that's important.
Local radio is so important during times of emergency. They're there. We lean on them to provide information to our public.
My wife and I are glad to support 93Q. We're going to do it on a monthly basis, but I really recommend that if you want to make your community better, this is a great place to take a first step right here.
So if you can, reach deep into your pocket and give to 93Q.
93Q is a great partner for law enforcement, and they're a great partner for the Yuba Sutter area.
We're really asking people if you can give $10, $15, $20 a month, and then that enables us to continue to put small business spots on the air, nonprofits, organizations that are they're using every dollar they got just to operate, and they don't have extra money to spend on really promoting their cause. And that is why community radio, to me, I'm grateful to be part of it, and that's why it's important. All right, we're back. I hope that you totally enjoyed George Croft.
Good job.
Get that clear, right? Even though we had a great time with the story of that, like when being called Laura Croft's little boy, and
Teenagers can be brutal. I could see how that.
Oh yeah. You could relate to that.
Oh, totally.
You were like, I got two boys, and how old are they again?
13 and 15.
Oh, gee.
And now, they're getting to the point where they're like, Mom, can you not, don't stand by us. There's other girls around.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're not going to think we're dating. I look like your mother. It's okay.
I remember Pablo was in 7th grade, and we went to an open house, and he wouldn't walk with us. He was walking ahead. So finally, I said, son, I am totally capable of embarrassing you.
Oh, yeah.
So you have a choice. You can walk with us. Okay. He knew I'd do it, right? So
I try not to, but I do like to remind them every once in a while that I could thoroughly embarrass them. Yeah. So.
Well, I tell you, one of the things I notice is, man, when they get to that age, they'll hit a growth spurt, and I don't care what you bought them a month ago.
Yeah.
It won't fit them. I mean, it's like that's when they grow, when they get, those early teen years.
We just had to go shopping this weekend because I kid you not, Caden's shorts that were here last year are shorty shorts with a whole lot of thigh showing this year. So it's okay, which is kind of the in thing right now, but still, it was
it is.
Let's get you some bigger clothes, bud. Now that you are a full grown man.
Yeah. I'm going to get rid of mine. Well, this was fun, though, huh?
It was fun.
It was really good.
It was nice to know more about George. Also, I haven't heard this CD, so now I'm going to go stalk him a little bit and listen to some of his music.
Yeah, you'll like it.
Yeah,
it's really good. It's an acoustic version. I'd like to know, full blown version, which I guess is next. But
I don't know. I'm a sucker for acoustic.
Yeah,
I love acoustic.
Sit on your little porch.
I know.
In a rocking chair.
Drink my cup of tea.
Tea and
totally content.
Listen to George Croft.
And bake some bread.
You're there yelling at the boys, that bread done?
Yeah.
No, we're still adding the Cheetos.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Oliver is doing this new thing right now where clearly I do, most of the stuff around the house and the bakery, but he has this new thing where sarcasm is a love language for him and me, really. And so he'll say something like, Mom, can you please get me a glass of water since you're up? And I'll be like, oh, sure. I don't do anything else around here. And he'll say, I already baked all the bread for the day. I got you up and got you ready for school. You know, he's now reverse role here. Yeah.
We, when Pablo dated this girl and brought her over to the house, and then they went out and they get in the car, and she goes, your family is sarcastic. And we just really, sarcasm is one of my favorite types of humor.
Yeah.
It's not meant to hurt.
No.
But some people can't handle sarcasm. You have to be careful. But also, there's some people, they don't know how to do sarcasm.
No.
They're just rude.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, okay, that didn't work.
That is not a love language.
Don't do that again. That one didn't work. You're probably going to get your tires flattened behind that one, you know?
Yeah, we always say that's how we show love at our house is probably sarcasm and some humor.
And dogs.
And dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to have the dogs.
I know.
Did the dogs ever get bred?
No. Although Daisy, we just had her 10th birthday party because we missed, and the boys really wanted to because she was turning 10, like get her a cake or do something big. We couldn't find a dog cake. I wasn't going to bake one. So we did a plate of like dog treats, and she was very into it. So
Patty found dog cookies.
Yeah.
And so when the grand dogs come over, Grandma's like,
dog cookies.
It's like dog cookies. But fortunately, I knew they were dog cookies when I went in the pantry.
I was going to say, she could have got you.
Don't put the dog cookies in with everything else, right? You know? So, yeah, this has been fun. Glad to have you back. Missed you when you were gone.
I missed you.
And so I don't know who's going to be on next week.
It's a surprise every week to us.
Yeah. And we've got some people that are in the tank. They're in the list to go in the tank, the queue of the tank. And I think we're going to have some exciting ones. You know, some are to me, you know, I just think, how could you even know that? Like that guy, Dan, I mean, he's met 9 U.S. presidents. Yeah. This is an amazing guy, you know? And so, yeah, we'll see what's next. But it'll be a surprise, folks. We're not telling you, you know, you're going to have to tune in to get it.
Yep.
And so, any last words?
No. Nice to see you.
Kind of comfy, huh?
It is.
Yeah, we did a little fire here. We just sit here and chat.
I know.
Let people listen. And
until Kurt gives us the hook and is like.
Yeah. All of a sudden, this will just stop, right?
Yeah, this stops. That's how you know it's time to go.
Kurt, we're sitting here. We're finishing up, right? We're like, oh, yeah, we're going to be. All of a sudden, you hear. It's like, what's going on? Somebody want to wake up the guy in the back, right?
We need paper airplanes over here so we can throw them.
Well, listen, we want to thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. I thought it was really kind of an insight thing where you get to see somebody that's working towards music, right? That writes his own stuff and plays. And so I just thought it was a great opportunity. Again, it's George Croft music.com. You can go to his website and I'm sure connect with everything else. And like he said, his music's available. He's got an acoustic album out. He is in the process of working on another one. And he does a podcast right here in Tower Media Studios. And so Studio 93, just like us. But he doesn't have a leprechaun. He doesn't have a. We have a leprechaun. He
hasn't paid Kurt enough yet.
Yeah. He better get some money to Kurt. Anyway, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. And the Minnow and I will be back next week.